Welcome, everybody, to today's podcast from Elevate Living Studio. I'm excited today because we're going to be talking about massage. So the way I'm titling this one is The Power of Touch. And our special guest today is Elaine Mount, a licensed massage therapist who's got quite an extensive background in the massage industry. Elaine, maybe you could tell us a little bit about you and your credentials, and even more importantly, what inspired you to become a massage therapist, because you do other things as well.
Thank you, Maureen. I appreciate that you having this conversation with me today, so thank you. I have been a massage therapist since 1995. I trained at Still Point in Hatfield. I was not there any longer, but it was a lovely school that eventually went to Greenfield Community College. And I taught at both places, so I also taught for probably 10 years with massage students, training them in our craft. And I've had my own business since then in my home, and now I'm excited that I have a second location here at Elevate. I've done, interesting that you mentioned how I've done a bunch of other things. They're not even related to massage therapy, but I think that's one of the reasons that I'm still joyful about doing the work that I'm doing, because it allows for that. Doing this type of work allows for flexibility. I've done a number of continuing ed in regard to touch, pregnancy massage, reflexology. I've recently done some continuing ed in restorative yoga, which I'm looking forward to kind of figuring out how I can work with clients in that modality. So what got me interested? It's a weird story. Back in the day when you had paper publications, there was one called Many Hands, long before iPhones, long before any of the technology where you actually pick up a publication and you read it. And I opened it up and I saw these questions. It was an ad, I believe, or I knew. And then I just read the questions, and every question I answered yes. And I went, that's weird. What am I reading? What's the ad I'm reading? And it was for Still Point Massage School. And I went, okay. And it just took me from there. And my husband and my teenagers said, you're going to do what? And I went to massage school for 2 years, nights. And yeah, that is literally how I got.
And a talent was born.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. So let's think about this. A lot of people view massage as a luxury and something, maybe they can do for themselves once in a while. And I think by the end of this, we'd like people to have a couple of different visions of what massage could do for them in their lives. So for somebody who's always thought of that as massage is just a pampering type of gift, what would you say to them?
Not that it can't be pampering and a luxury, but in truth, I mean, just the like you brought it up at the beginning, the power of touch has so many layers that we won't even get to today in our conversation. But if we think about touch in our culture, when we're really happy, what do? We hug each other. When we're really sad, what do? We comfort each other through touch. We celebrate and we touch each other. And yet there's a conversation around that touch is not good. So I think massage therapy allows us to find that balance, that it's safe touch, it's welcoming touch, it's nurturing, but at the same time, that nurturing leads to reduced tension in the muscles and emotional resilience, increased serotonin, which is, the mood stabilizer, and it impacts sleep, and it impacts just the capacity to be grateful. So I guess that's how I could sum up how it's more than just.
So for a minute, let's talk a little bit about the emotional and mental side of having a massage. I do know, as we said, people think of it as pampering. Some people think of it as my muscles are tight or I'm sore, and so I just need the relief from the pain. But if we're talking more of that emotional side, I mean, I'll say for myself, there have been times I've gotten a massage, and at the end of it, I just felt like I wanted to cry. And I wasn't even sure where that came from. But I do know other people have shared a similar experience with me. In fact, that they have started crying at the end of it. So can you help us understand that a little bit, that emotional and mental tie into it?
And I have cried getting a massage, yeah. So I think one little tidbit, I don't know what's making me think of this, but I read recently that women release their stress through tears. This is a generalization for folks that are listening. And men through their sweat. Again, a generalization. So I don't know if that's a piece of it when we're talking about getting a massage, because my experience with people that have shared it have all been women. But it's really that we're just energy. We're all energy, right? And the table over there is energy, and the flowers are beside me are energy. And so when we increase our circulation through massage, increase that connectedness to another human being, toxins flow, blood flow increases, and it can be released through just the wastes that go through our system, to drink water after that. But sometimes it just releases in an emotional way. And as the practitioner, one thing that's important for folks that are worried they might cry in front of their therapist, it's not a cry and tell me what's going on. It's if that happened, if you were on my table and that happened and you told me that, I would probably stop moving. I would just keep my hands still and just trust whatever was going on for you. And then when you wanted me to continue, I would just continue. And so it's not judged. It just is. And it can be really helpful. And it doesn't need to be scary. And it doesn't have to be that, I just thought of some traumatic thing. It could be a trauma piece, and then that would be a conversation that you might have with a different type of person that focuses on that.
Have you found that it's both men and women that the emotions come up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Just maybe they express it a little differently?
They express it a little different, yeah.
I can understand that. I can definitely understand that. Another thing I've had people maybe be a little confused on is there's a lot of different types of massage.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not sure if you're a first-time person going in for a massage, are there things you would suggest of like how to get started with this?
Yeah, so there's so many modalities, and my thinking is that the basis is still that good old Swedish massage.
Okay.
Those long flowing strokes, the flushing strokes, the tapping and the tapotement it's called. And everything is based on that, any massage I've ever received. And yet then there's lymphatic massage, which is very specific. I'm not trained in that. I have an understanding of it. Does the lymph get impacted through the massage that I do? Yes, but that's not my intent. So sometimes it's the intent behind the specificity.
Okay.
So Swedish is such the base, and it's so client-centered. So if somebody came to me and said, I just raked the yard for 3 days and my back and my neck are bothering me, that's client-centered. What does that client need? It could still be the basis of Swedish, but I might do some deep tissue, which isn't just deep pressure. It's very different. A lot of people will ask for deep tissue, and what they really want is deep pressure.
So what's a little bit about the difference there? Because I know I would be confused there as well.
Deep tissue is often without lotion. It's really kind of breaking. It is deep, and often with a forearm or an elbow, and it's really stretching out those muscles and breaking down the adhesions, so then the body can flush the toxins from the system. So that's just kind of it in a nutshell. When we talk about pregnancy massage, it's not so much a different type of massage. It's, again, client-centered. And how do we do that? There's a lot of side lying. I did have one client. I had the pleasure of helping her through all 3 of her pregnancies. And she came to me. And no, I didn't get to do some special thing and make her deliver. Can't do it. People sometimes ask.
Oh, really?
Isn't there something? Yeah, there's some pressure points in the ankle. But it's not true. I cannot put a woman in labor.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yes, it is
I know you have a lot of power, but maybe not.
No.
So if I was thinking about this and saying, okay, maybe I'm going to paint my nails this weekend. I want to do something to pamper myself, and I've never had a massage. What is the other than make the phone call? What are some things you think it would be good for them to know as they walk into a studio and are prepared to lay down or sit down for an hour, half hour, whatever that may be, with the first time it's a stranger, so to speak?
Right.
What's the best way they can communicate to you what they want their outcome to be so everybody's on the same page?
So if it's a first time, so let's say I'm the first time person, I ask a lot of questions. Some people don't know what they want. I just want to relax. And so then in that kind of a situation, I walk them through a kind of a relaxation series. Like I start with them face down. I talk them through the process, and then they can add or subtract from that. Like, oh, you know what? I think I just want my back, neck, and shoulders today, so then I'll just do that.
Okay.
Or don't touch my feet because I'm ticklish, although I have, in 30 years, never tickled somebody.
Well,
that
good.
was ticklish. So I'm kind of proud of that. So I would really ask a lot of questions. If you have a therapist that doesn't ask questions and just has you get on the table, I would be curious about that person's style. Because for me, it's all nuanced.
Right.
All nuanced. In the door because they're running late and worried about me because they're late. And I always say, if you're going to be late to an appointment, this would be the one.
Okay.
Because you're going to get a massage, right? And you immediately can relax. So then they go, oh, okay, thank you. It's not that. But if they come in and are nervous and anxious, and I got this gift certificate, I want this, but I've never had it. So
right.
I ask different types of questions.
Well, I understand a little bit of them because I've had massages over the years, many, many, many of them. And I know that for myself, one of the things I don't like my face being touched. And I have to tell them that because when I haven't kind of advocated for myself in that way and they're doing it, it turns it to a different place because now my anxiety has gone up. Because now you're touching my face and I don't particularly like that. Mm-hmm. I do know now that that's a very easy one, and it's like, please just, the neck, great, face, no. Hands, I have very bad arthritis in my hands, and they hurt most of the time. So I need to make sure if they're going to touch my hands, please do it very gently so it doesn't hurt. And I think it's very important for people to feel like they can go ahead and do that. I think sometimes we are nervous about advocating for ourselves in those situations. And the other thing, and you and I have spoken about this, the biggest turnoff to me in having a massage is if that therapist starts talking to me, because now I kind of announce it. I go, this is what I'd like, and the rest of it, you do what you see or feel, because I'm just going to tune out now. I really want to just listen to the music and just be someplace else and let somebody kind of work on my body for what it is. And we've spoken about that's a...
Yeah, I don't, even early on when I was teaching, that was a big piece. Like if you're talking about yourself, the session is no longer about your client. And are there clients that are very talkative? Yes. And so what do I do with that? It can be tricky because you really want them to, they're talking not because they're nervous. I mean, I'm just kind of talking. I want to say, what happened to my daughter the other day? And so I would suggest, if this happens to anybody, is that if that's you, try to catch yourself, and then that hopefully will help the therapist not also be talking. Have I ever fallen into then having a back and forth with a client that I've become comfortable with, that have seen me a few times? Yes, so then I have to catch myself. It's my responsibility to direct that, and it's not that hard. It could be, let's say you were talking to me about and I'd say, so tell me how this feels on your shoulder right now. And I just put the client back into their body. The
space of their body, okay, which is great. Yeah. Another thing, can you kind of tell looking at somebody what the issues may be and they may not know?
I don't give myself that level of, I don't. Some people might, which makes me think about, I don't think of myself, you're coming into my space, and I'm not usually talking don'ts, but I'm going to for a second. I don't look at you that I'm going to fix you or take care of what you're saying you need.
Okay.
I believe my work is as facilitator and collaborator with the client. Okay. And so I could work on your shoulders all day long, and if I haven't connected with you on why am I doing this, and what are your needs, and are you responding? Is your body responding to it? Then what good am I? That's just how I am. Okay. In my work. So it's such a collaboration. You heal and improve whatever it is, not because of me, but with me. I just facilitate your healing with you. I really don't have much more power than that from my perspective. Some people want to feel like they have fixed people. Right. I just don't. It's just not a lane that I go in my thinking.
So if somebody's having a long-standing issue, one session probably isn't going to fix it.
Most likely.
So what is a good cadence for people to be coming and having a massage And not thinking of it as just, well, I'm just wasting money on this luxury for myself, but really seeing it as a wellness practice that's going to help them move better, feel more flexible, increase blood flow, all of those things. But what would a good cadence for that be?
Generally, so if it's like high stress, emotional, busy, stress, work, tight neck, I'm at a computer all day, that scenario, like weekly for 2 or 3 weeks, and then it gets stretched out, and that depends on the person. I've had clients that come every 6 weeks, regardless, or come in 6 weeks, and then I see them 2 months later, or I see them a week later, because then it's nuanced, because new things come into play. If somebody's been injured, then that's really about having an understanding what they're working with their medical providers if they still need to, and me doing the work that I do, and they reporting to themselves and to me on how they feel before, when they come into the session, during the session, and then after. And then we kind of make a determination at that point.
Okay.
You can overdo it if somebody comes in, I don't go right into a frozen shoulder, for example.
Right.
That takes many, 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 many sessions. It's actually the one thing that I do that I know is uncomfortable, and it has to be uncomfortable, but I still do it as lovingly and compassionately as I can, because if I don't, then it's not going to release. It's just going to stay there.
And it does take time, you're right. I'm curious because we hear more and more about this with tech neck and things like that, because people are on their phones and they're in this, they're leaning towards their computers or their laptops. So you're seeing more and more of that?
Oh, goodness. Absolutely.
So are there more
it's an interesting design, our bodies, right? Because our bodies do that. Our bodies fold in that way. We don't fold backwards. So technology, it's almost it's a frustration. It just exacerbates that rolling forward.
Okay.
So yeah, I have most people come with that nowadays because of technology.
What about stretching in between massage therapies?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent. I do every single morning and people create their own. I've created my own yoga stretch routine, some restorative yoga as well. And I think it's essential to us as humans to do that every day, especially with the way we are, rush, not actually paying attention to each other, the technology part, kind of losing sight of ourselves. So that kind of morning routine or whatever time of day is best for each person, to know who you are. What is my mind doing right now? What is my body doing right now? Why is my right hip being kind of funky? I'm going to do something a little different. That's a worry I have.
Okay.
We're losing track of our connectedness only to ourselves. One thing that we don't connect with each other as much.
Right.
Because of technology. We actually, I think, are just walking around gray matter, and the rest of our body just kind of follows along, unless we deliberately choose to connect.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. One of the other things you and I spoke about, and I've really thought about this, and I don't know what they do in, say, nursing homes or such, and hopefully I won't know for quite a while. However, I just feel that when I see people as they age, and maybe they lose their partner, their wife, their husband, now they're living alone, and there's really not that many opportunities to get, other than a hug here and there, that feeling of touch and how I think healing it can be to your soul, to have somebody actually in a caring manner put hands on you to say, for right now, you are the star of the show, and I'm going to try and make you feel good, more comfortable, more relaxed, whatever that may be. And what are your thoughts on that? Because you're more of the expert in this.
It is amazing to me in my 30 years. I should have tracked it, but I have a high percentage of my clients are 70s and older. Of that, probably 70% are older women, but also older men. And I think that speaks to a little bit to what you're saying, but I think it also speaks to the wisdom that we get as we age, is that we realize how important that is. And so you're going to make sure you're going to still have it, as opposed to being in a position where you don't have it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's a big. It's always so interesting. I just recently have a new client. She's 83, and I'm fascinated. She just, that population of students, people that come to me, I'm also an educator, that's why I said that the joy they have of being older, they don't come to me and get grumpy about it. They just are aware of that, and they still want the touch. And it typically isn't from a place of not having it, but they don't have a partner or older children that can still, check their bodies. And, I had one woman with a tick on her body that she wouldn't have known she would have had, right?
Right.
So I happened to be able to help her with that. That was fun. But, yeah, so I think it's about just constantly having that touch. When you talked about nursing home, you had me thinking, I did work with a friend's mother who was in hospice. And she just wanted her mom to have a massage. And it was not the typical massage, right? She was in her bed. They weren't sure if she was aware of me being there, but it was powerful to be able to share that spiritual connection with somebody. I've had patients with terminal cancer that I've worked with, week after week, every couple of weeks, and then I don't see them. And that's challenging, right?
Sure.
But it's not about me. It's not for me to be I was part of it while that person wanted me to be part of that. And then they moved on, and their family would reach out, and we're grateful. And so was I, that I got
right.
to actually be with them. So it's quite powerful touch.
So you do men, you do women. Age isn't a barrier. I know you have said to me, children you will do as long as the parents give permission.
Yeah, they
you can do pregnant women. So that gives a wide opportunity, which also says to me that everybody can benefit from massage in one way, shape, or form. I do it for myself because my body needs it, and also because that is the treat I give myself of just being able to check out and let somebody say, I'm going to take care of you right now. Because not that men don't do it, so guys, if you're listening to this, don't get upset. But women take care of so many other people and so many other issues and things that I think it's really nice to take a half hour, an hour for yourself and let somebody just take care of you.
Yeah.
Are there any myths out there that you know about that you might want to dispel about massage and what it is, what it can do for you?
Yeah, I don't know how I just think of it as such a joyful thing. Possibly people think it's just to kind of help with injury and, to fix something. I think that's probably a big thing. It's like it's going to fix something. Or I'm doing something and they don't have to own it. That's always a powerful one.
Right.
It's that, I still feel blah, 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 and I got a massage. Okay, let's talk about that.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. I had one friend who was a client. This was fascinating. He came to me and he had some low back concerns. And so we talked about how the session was going to be. And then he came again, but he started to feel pain differently. He told me this. And he said, it feels different now. And I go, that can happen. I said, so often where the pain isn't the source of the pain, so I need to look somewhere else, or I consider another part of the body, or things like that. And he stopped. He said, I know myself with that back pain, and so I'm not going to come anymore. I've had a number of clients that they identify themselves by the dis-ease, by the pain, this is how I hold my shoulder. And when that changes, that's that mental, emotional piece earlier we were talking about. And I had to let him go. It's not up to me. He understood himself with that back pain. And so he wanted it back.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. That was a mind blow. That was the first time that happened. And it was a friend of mine. So we had probably a deeper conversation.
Sure.
Then I probably pushed questions a little bit more because I knew him, really wanted to understand how he was thinking. But then you're going to not be in pain. He goes, I don't want to travel through that process.
Interesting.
I understand. This is who I am. I'm just a guy with this back pain. I'll be fine.
What happens if I let go of that back pain?
Yes,
what kind of a guy am I then?
I know. We identify ourselves so much by our job or what goes on in our body or our pain. Yeah.
So a couple of things we talked about, and then we'll start moving towards maybe wrapping this up a little bit. But what are some of the measurable health benefits from regular massage? We talked a little bit about circulation and increased circulation, and we sit a lot today. So to me, anything that increases circulation is good. Right. Everybody talks about cortisol now.
Yes.
You know, high cortisol. You've got high cortisol. How does
this
massage
does reduce that? Reduces that stress hormone, and I can't measure that. Massage therapists actually measure that, so I'm not going to pretend to say that that is the case for you or for anybody else. But the science behind it does say that happens.
What about blood pressure?
Blood pressure increases the blood flow. Well, that part may feel more obvious, but then with increased blood flow is kind of better ability to think and focus and, attend to the daily things. It's kind of amazing to kind of the brightness after you get a massage or Reiki or all sorts of modalities in the healthcare. That brightness, I guess, is the word that's coming to me right now on how you think and how you look at your children and your coworkers, and puts a positive spin on it. I think it's probably more the results of the parasympathetic nervous system that's engaged during massage.
Do endorphins come out during massage?
Endorphins.
Okay.
Yeah. Today, this podcast today, you know how I was feeling about that? I'm not right now, so it's all good. But I did go for a walk today early because I said I need an endorphin push. I could have had my husband, rub my back and give me a shoulder massage. That would have been, when you're going into these situations that you might otherwise feel a little unsure of, massage can really help that. Yeah.
So as we kind of wrap it up and we talked about, the power of touch my hope is anybody listening who has been in that camp of, well, it's just a luxury and I don't have the money to waste on that, is I think of it more as an investment in yourself and your health, and I always have. And in my mental health as well, is to be able to have that time just for myself. Honest to goodness, it's also that nobody can reach me. Like my phone's not in there. You can't get to me. I have an hour where nobody can get to me. I have no expectations to be returning an email or answering a question or solving a problem. I can just concentrate on me, and that's pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
So if people wanted to get started, I guess it seems the obvious is make a call, book an appointment. If you're local here to South Deerfield, Elaine works right out of our studio. She also has a second studio at her home. If you're someplace else, is to kind of listen to this and maybe take a different take. You massage through a different lens, and that it's really a health and wellness tool and not just a luxury. And I'm not putting down people who get their nails done or any of that. It's a beautiful thing, but we all do that because it looks pretty. Yeah. And where we may not be able to see, oh, it looks so pretty, I just had a massage, the feeling. And I like the word that you use, the brightness. The brightness of it. So again, if you are local to us, you have to come meet Elaine. She works right out of here, and you could always give her a call. But other than that is to think of the power of touch and what massage can bring to you. So I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to spend with us. And we will be back next week with another Elevated Living Studio podcast. Thank you. Bye, everybody.